today is National Chocolate Chip Day. Yes, National Chocolate Chip Day. Now, I didn't say it's National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day. No, and I didn't say it's Chocolate Chip Ice Cream Day either. It is just simply National Chocolate Chip Day. So whatever you may happen to throw your chocolate chips into, I guess today you're supposed to give thanks. I don't know. I have no clue. I'm like you. I run across these crazy days on Twitter, and I just happen to share them with you. But there is something I do know for a fact, and that is the Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Strangely enough, I'm not sure why the intro kind of looped like that. That was a little bizarre, I have to say. Anyway, I am Jeff McAleer. I'm your host here at the Daily Dope, as well as happening to be the Grand Poobah of the GamingGang.com. So welcome aboard. If this is the first time you've joined me, this is a very casual show. This is a live stream, although most likely you're probably not watching it live. But there is chat available. It's on YouTube. So if you want to say hello, or I'm actually going to take a deep dive into Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes in just a little bit. Yes, the latest supplement for the 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, which is arriving in some stores a little later on this week. In fact, it'll be the limited edition, which will be arriving in stores on the 18th. And it's not going to be in a lot of stores, and it is not going to be in a big print run either. But I'm going to take a look at the standard edition, which will be in stores on the 29th. The only difference between the two is simply the cover artwork. And the cover artwork on both editions is pretty cool. So anyway, as I was saying, there is chat available. It's available through YouTube. It is not on screen, but if you say hello, or if you want me to pause and take a closer look at something as we take a look in the Tome of Foes, feel free, chime in, or you can just say hi and I will say hello right back. So pretty big show ahead. I've got some news. Wanted to mention a really strange how I saw that The Expanse on Sci-Fi is not going to be picked up for a 4th season. That is a shocker because as far as I understood, it is Sci-Fi's highest rated show, I believe. I know it is the most critically acclaimed show that's on Sci-Fi right now. So I found that very strange. But the thing is, as far as I get it, the deal that they've got with James S.A. Corey, which is actually a pen name of the two different authors, the deal they've got is based on live viewers. Strange. So I don't think it's because I don't think it's being picked up for a 4th season because Sci-Fi didn't want to. It's almost that they have not lived up to their end of the bargain in the deal. So I thought that was very, very strange. I am keeping my fingers crossed that maybe Amazon or let's say Netflix picks up the series because it is an excellent series. We are far from the conclusion of the actual storyline of The Expanse, although I do believe the final novel either is out or it's on the horizon. I want to say it's about 7 novels altogether, and I think there's some novellas if I remember correctly. But fingers crossed, because you figure, hey, Netflix went and blew tens of millions of dollars on Bright, which pretty much sucked. And this is a series that they won't have to spend any money really doing any development with because everything's already in place. Fingers crossed, who knows? Don't know, but I will be sad to see that show go if it does not get picked up. Just like I was surprised to see Sundance is not going to have another season of Hap and Leonard, which is probably not a show that a lot of folks watching the Daily Dope happen to watch, but it is an excellent kind of crime noir show that based on Joe Lansdale's books, which is really, really well done. I think that's another show that's like top rated at a cable network, and they're pulling the plug on it. I'm taking a guess it's probably too expensive. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. Just like when HBO canceled Deadwood and they canceled Rome. It wasn't because the ratings weren't there. It wasn't because the viewers weren't watching. It was because the network thought, spend a little too much money. All right, so anyway, got some news today. Let's jump into the news. Then I've got an item I'm going to talk a little bit about with the crowdfunding project for the Gaming Gang / the Daily Dope. It's delayed, not a lot, but I'll explain why. But let's jump into the news because I know a lot of people want to check out Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. So I will get to that in just a bit. But if you watched yesterday's show, you know I did a review of the second edition of Block by Block from Out of Order Games. And I mentioned that the Kickstarter was going to start today. So if you have not checked out that show, give it a watch. I really liked Block by Block, but here's the dope about the Kickstarter. Block by Block, the Insurrection game, is a semi-cooperative strategy tabletop game inspired by 21st century protest movements, riots, and popular uprisings. Out of Order Games is excited to launch this thoroughly updated second edition featuring brand new art, streamlined gameplay, improved components, and new objectives for the insurrection. In Block by Block, each player controls a faction of revolutionaries, workers, students, neighbors, or prisoners fighting against the state in the streets of a city that changes each game. Build barricades, clash with riot cops, occupy districts, loot shopping centers, and liberate the city before time runs out and the military arrives. Block by Block features hidden agendas, deep strategy, area control, asymmetrical player abilities, and a special method for randomly generating billions of unique city layouts. In 2016, the first edition of Block by Block was published by Out of Order Games after a successful Kickstarter. The development of this provocative and educational game had taken more than 5 years, drawing inspiration from social insurrections in cities around the world such as Athens, Oakland, Cairo, Istanbul, Ferguson, and many others. Upon its release, the game sold out in 1 month. It's been in demand and out of print ever since, until now. If you already have the first edition of Block by Block, you can reserve an upgrade kit for a $15 pledge that will also score you the unlocked stretch goals. Or if you don't have the game, you can score the base game, the core game itself, and also those unlocked stretch goals for a $45 pledge. This project does run through June 14th, and the expected delivery of the finished product is actually November of this year. So, as I started to say, yesterday I did my review. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. I had played the first edition of Block by Block, and unfortunately it's kind of buried under some games over on this side of the table. It's actually down there. Otherwise, I'd yank it out. And I did send the prototype back to Tim from Out of Order Games, so I can't, like, grab stuff and be like, oh, hey, so if you didn't see this. But, by all means, check out yesterday's show. It's a good game. I enjoy it. I'm glad to see that there is a pledge level for folks who have the first edition to just get the new components, kind of the new updates to the game, as opposed to having to purchase an entirely new game just for some of the different, like the secret agendas, for an example. One thing I am a bit surprised by is that if you caught yesterday's show, there's this fabric mat, which I was hoping maybe there would be a pledge level, or I should say a stretch goal, or maybe an add-on where that this mat would be made of mouse pad material. In fact, you'll see this mat is one of the images I'm sharing. Unfortunately, that is not one of the stretch goals. And the fabric mat does not come with the game. It is a stretch goal at the $85,000 level. Which I don't know if Block by Block is going to hit that kind of funding level. So that's a little bit disappointing because I do like the mat. The mat makes the game setup a lot easier because it's already got the districts, the areas where you're putting the different tiles for the districts already labeled on it. So you line everything up, looks really nice. Anyway, but I was a little disappointed. But $45 for the second edition of Block by Block is a good deal. I think it's $10 off what it'll be at retail. So check it out. It's a good game. Definitely earns my thumbs up. All right, so moving right along. AEG has revealed they're teaming up with Grey Gnome Games to bring you a dice rolling, rail baron robin time this September. And I've got a bit of the dope on Trainmaker. Trainmaker is a fast-paced, press-your-luck dice game that puts players in the roles of aspiring railroad magnates, building an empire. On a turn, you rolls the custom-molded railroad dice. That is incorrect grammar. Sorry. And I have to point out, this is actually from Grey Gnome because there's no official info out on the AEG website yet. All I've got for this edition is the box artwork. Anyway, on your turn, you would roll, singular, the custom molded railroad dice. Form the results into a train filled with rolling stock and finishing with a caboose. You score station cards that match the train you created. So from my understanding, these dice actually have different cars of the train. So you're going to roll all of these dice at one time, and of course there is a push your luck element. If you are clever and lucky, you can score all 3 station cards on your turn. Use the discard abilities of your scored station cards to manipulate the dice and help yourself. What's more, each player begins with a switch track card that allows them to choose a die result, but you can use it only once per game. So pick your moment carefully. First player to score one of each type of station card or complete their hidden contract card wins. The game is for 1 to 6 players, ages 14 and up. Gotta admit, it's gotta be 14 and up because of the components. It does not strike me as being a difficult game from what I took a peek at of the Grey Gnome Games edition. The game does play in 10 minutes and will carry an MSRP of $24.99. Gotta say, I have heard some pretty good things about the original Trainmaker, which was published by Grey Gnome Games after, I believe, a Kickstarter. I think it went through a Kickstarter. But if you go to the Grey Gnome Games website, there's actually print and play rules. So you can check this out before Trainmaker arrives in September from Alderac Entertainment Group. Z-Man Games has a title on the horizon which tackles sailing the 7 seas for fun and profit, all the while trying to avoid nasty pirates. Here's the dope. Embark on a journey of discovery and treasure. An ocean of adventure awaits you in Anchors Away. Anchors away, me boys. Well, whatever. Okay. Load your ship with everything you'll need, then weigh anchor. Discover items, trade goods, and complete contracts to earn treasure. Grapple with fierce pirates, earning rewards if you defeat them. Will you earn the most treasure? The wind rushes, carrying the smell of salt water and ruffling your hair. Okay. The crew bustles around you, hauling up crates of supplies and organizing them in the cargo hold. You hear the crash of the waves against the side of the ship. The captain calls up for the anchor to be hauled up. It's time to set sail. If you planned ahead at the beginning of the game, you'll be able to complete multiple discovery, trade, and contract cards, and hopefully fight off the pirates as well. After 2 rounds, the player that earn the most treasure from their seafaring adventure will win. Anchors Away is for 2 to 4 players, ages 8 and up, plays in 30 minutes, and will carry an MSRP of $39.99 when it arrives in the third quarter of this year. I believe this game has a bit of a mechanic where the players are all doing something at once. It is not a game where I believe everybody's taking... there might be turns, but I believe there are some aspects of this game where it's everybody's going at the same time. As I understand, I don't know a whole lot about the game outside of what I just read off the press release for Anchors Away. Could be kind of cool. Looks kind of Euro-ish, doesn't it? All right, so WizKids is releasing a dexterity dungeon crawl game this June, and it seems kind of strange, and I've got the dope as far as Fungion Party. And I swear I keep wanting to say Funyun, as in that really awful, like, fake onion ring snack, but it's Fungion, like dungeon. And here we go. WizKids is excited to announce a new game that puts the fun in dungeon. Fungion Party. Designed by Brian Lewis, David McGregor, Marissa Misura, and Tom Jones. Tom Jones? Really? The Tom Jones? It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. No, not that Tom Jones. Anywho, this is a fast-paced quest completion game which takes a traditional dungeon party and puts them in a truly untraditional dungeon crawler. I almost said Fungion crawler. I need a sip. Bit dry down here in the duct tape studios again today. Kitties are not hanging out. They are upstairs, although we might see Smokey make an appearance. Anywho, 2 to 5 players pick a class from a list of classic adventure choices, such as Barbarian, Cleric, Ranger, and Wizard, just to name a few. Each class has their own stats, which can be upgraded as experience points are earned, as well as a special ability that will help the party complete a pile of at least 6 quests. Quest cards are drawn from a stack and placed in the middle of all players. Using a cell phone or stopwatch, timer is set for 30 seconds per quest. So, 6 quests would be a 3-minute timer. Someone yells, "Go!" The top quest card is flipped over, and the goal is to complete all quests before the timer runs out. Sounds simple, but is it? What types of quests would you expect in a Fungion? Stack dice on your forehead, bounce dice into the box, knock down a meeple surrounded by dice, balance a meeple on a stick. These and many more wacky quests await the brave adventurers who have traveled through the corridors of a Fungion. The game is for 2 to 5 players, ages 14 and up. Gotta be a component thing on this one too. Plays in about 3 to 30 minutes. Yes, I swear that's what it says. And it will carry an MSRP of $29.99. This could be odd. This could be kind of fun. One knock that I have with WizKids is that for the most part, you never get to see a whole lot of their board game components. There isn't ever a lot of images and things like that that are shared by WizKids. Now, granted, when we're talking about their pre-painted miniatures for D&D and Pathfinder, or we're talking about, hero clicks and things like that, yes, there's always tons of images, but for some strange reason, with their board games, almost never get to see anything outside of the box art. And this is a case right here, talking about all we've got is the box art, because to be honest, all I think that's probably in this box are maybe a few meeples, some dice, and a bunch of cards. I'm not saying that makes it a bad game. I'm just saying that sometimes it'd be nice if WizKids would share a little bit more info visually about their board games. Don't know. All right. So anyway, that is it for the news today. I told you it was kind of quiet on the news front. There was a news piece from my friends over at Greenbrier Games about a Mighty Boards Kickstarter that launched today and funded today. But I got to point out, I got that email 10 minutes before I went live. So it's sort of like, well, I learned my lesson about trying to squeeze news items in the last minute because it just screws everything up. Never fails. I'll have the news slides in the wrong order and all that other stuff. So I will bring that information to you on tomorrow's show. Anyway, before I jump into the deep delve, I did want to point out, I'm sure, many of you watched the Daily Dope quite often. Some folks watch it on Wednesdays for the wargaming stuff. Some folks watch it on Fridays for the family fun stuff. Some folks watch it on Thursdays because it's RPG day. And there are people who kind of watch every episode. But I always have new folks kind of popping in, checking out the show, and then popping out, whatever. So many of them do not realize that it would be 2 months today. Marks the, I guess today marks the 2-month anniversary of me having a near fatal heart attack. Yeah, that was lots of fun. And I am on the verge of actually doing a crowdfunding project, which I've never really ever reached out in the 8 years I've been doing the Gaming Gang. I have never reached out to have the audience really kick in. Yeah, okay, granted, I have a Patreon that I never talk about. Hardly ever mention. It's a big deal, so it's down in the corner there, right? But anyway, I was gonna launch it today, but I'm not, because there are some companies that are on board for it, and we still haven't ironed out what they're gonna do, how they're gonna partake in this crowdfunding project. So I'm pushing it off to June 1st. But one of the things I'm trying to do is I'm trying to set it up, say through PayPal, you could use PayPal, because there are some things that are going to be limited in number. Or for an example, Elliot Miller, my best friend over from voiceofe.com, he and I will be, of course, at, well, I think we'll be at Origins Game Fair. Hopefully making it to Gen Con. That's another reason why this crowdfunding project is going to take place. But we're going to actually have, dinner and gaming, or just gaming. We're going to have 2 different things like that. But I want to be able to do it where people can say, all right, well, boom, I'm going to, pledge my support at this pledge level, whatever reward is there. If it's like a PDF or something like that, because a bunch of PDFs, they'll get it right away. It'll just process through PayPal. Boom, they get it right away. No sitting around waiting, months and months to claim your reward. So that's what I'm kind of working on right now. So anyway, moving right along. People are, in case you're wondering what's coming up on the show for this week. On tomorrow's show, now granted, I just talked about Wargame Wednesday, and I'm not going to be covering a war game. Simply because I don't have anything ready to actually do. I don't have anything new to unbox, and I don't have anything I can really do a review on yet. I haven't played some stuff enough. Although I got to admit, I believe we got a lot of stuff coming on the horizon from GMT Games, so that's going to be really cool. But tomorrow's show, I am going to unbox and take a first look at Renegade from my friends over at Victory Point Games. This is kind of a cyberpunkish card game. I believe it's kind of cyberpunkish. It's for 1 to 5 players. So I am going to be looking at this. Then on Thursday, I am going to finally get my review for the Dark Eye core book out there. And interesting. It's interesting. Got a few thoughts about this. Now, I like it, but it's unusual. So I will get into detail about that on Thursday, because I know a lot of folks were out there they've been emailing saying, hey, when's the When's the Dark Eye review coming? So that will be on Thursday. Then on Friday, I am going to do my review for Remnants from Fireside Games. It's the post-apocalyptic game. And we played quite a few games of this over the weekend. So that will be on Friday's show. And then things pop up out of nowhere. So I don't know. I have no idea. So we might see some pretty wild stuff on Monday's show. Because I honestly want to say I think there are two new GMT games that might be shipping on the 21st. So there's a lot of GMT stuff on the horizon. Okay, so as I started off the show with, I am going to take a deep dive into Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. And, of course, it is for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Honestly doesn't need any sort of introduction. And it is coming in 2 editions. So the first edition is a limited edition. It is going to be available in a select number of friendly local game stores. I believe some online retailers have it as well. And so that is the limited edition. And how come? There we go. I was going to say it took a long time for it to kind of switch over and show that limited edition. So that arrives in some stores on the 18th. The standard edition is going to be available everywhere on the 29th. Now, the book clocks in at 256 pages and does carry an MSRP of $49.95. And after I'm done taking a look at this, I will tell you how you're going to be able to win my copy of the limited edition of Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. See, and the funny thing is, well, I'll switch over to the other camera. Funny enough, instead of just a regular blue background, I kind of busted out my fantasy game mat from 5-color combo. That's actually pretty cool. Anyway, so I was going to say, I knew I was going to mess this up because, first of all, I'm going to be the first to admit I am not necessarily the most well-versed person as far as all things Dungeons and Dragons. Now, I've got the vast majority of the 5th edition books, so I'm good with that. But until 5th edition, I really hadn't taken close looks at Dungeons and Dragons releases since Advanced D&D. Yes, I know. I've been messing around in this hobby for a long time. Wetting the whistle a little bit. So this is the standard edition of Mordenkainen's. I keep wanting to say Mordenkainen's, because to me it looks like it would be pronounced Kanan, but everybody is pronouncing it Mordenkainen. Anyway, this is the limited edition, which I will be doing a giveaway for, and I'm going to make it pretty easy. It's going to be a pretty easy giveaway. All right, so got that there. Anywho, so this is the standard edition, and I'm going to put my reading specs on because this is going to be a little bit further away from me here. So let's take a look at the back. And, oh, I know what I was starting to say. So, if I remember correctly, when word leaked about the next supplement for Dungeons & Dragons, somebody had seen, if I remember right, I think somebody had seen something on somebody's desk. And they thought it was Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. So that's what originally came out was, oh, the next book on the horizon is Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. And I knew I was going to mess up and say that. So just like I kept saying, yeah, I want to say like Funyun instead of like Fungion for the Wizards, for the, I should say, WizKids game. All right, so it says, pages from the greatest of mages. Why do dwarves and I believe it's pronounced Dwargar hate each other? How did the world come to have so many kinds of elves? What lies at the heart of the Blood War, the great cosmic struggle between demons and devils that threatens to destroy everything if either side were ever to emerge victorious? Mordenkainen has all those answers and more, and now they can be yours too. This tome is built on the writings of the renowned wizard from the world of Greyhawk, gathered over a lifetime of research and scholarship. In his travels to other worlds and other planes of existence, he has made many friends and has risked his life an equal number of times to amass the knowledge contained herein. The first 5 chapters present material for a dungeon master to add depth to a campaign that involves the characters in one or more of the ongoing conflicts described there. Options for players are provided as well, including new character races. In addition to Mordenkainen's musings on the endless wars of the multiverse, the book contains game statistics for dozens of monsters, new demons and devils, several varieties of elves and dwargar, and a vast array of other creatures from throughout the planes of existence. And of course, to use this, you have to have the player's handbook, monster manual, and dungeon master's guide, which are all right there behind me. Up there. These are my D&D 5th edition D&D books up here. All right, so let's take a peek. So I do not know really anything about this book, and I'll explain. And this is gonna be a little bit off center because my noggin, my mug is right over here. So I'm gonna keep this a little off center so we can see mainly what's on these pages. I have not peeked at this. Now, this arrived in the mail on Friday. I want to say it was in Friday's mail. Maybe it was Saturday. I think it was Friday. Both editions. And I have not taken a peek. I've wanted to, but to me, that's kind of cheating. It's like when I do an unboxing video. The shrink wrap is always on the box. I don't crack it open and, oh, okay, so I'm going to take a peek at the rules here. So when I pretend to do an unboxing, or when I do an unboxing that's not really a true unboxing, I look more knowledgeable. No, I don't like doing that. I like just going in, mainly being pretty ignorant of everything in it. There are a lot of credits, loads of credits. So Jeremy Crawford and Mike Merles were pretty much lead designers on this. And then we show some of the other designers, tons and tons of credits for the artwork inside. I would have started off when I was talking about, oh, it clocks in at 256 pages, MSRP of $49.95. Usually that's when I say, oh, and it's designed by or written by, art provided by. There's just so many names. I would have been doing that, and people would be like, okay, that's it. I'm tuning out. All right, so we got table of contents. We've got an index of monster stat blocks, so plenty of monsters here. Plenty of new creatures. So I believe there are no new classes in this book. I know there's new races, but there are no new classes as far as I know. And something else that I understand is that there are more monsters and creatures, things like that, of a higher level. So I know, for the most part, I don't think a ton of people play their D&D campaigns much past like level 10, especially if they're doing games that are pretty much just effectively the published adventures and things like that. But there are higher levels, so I believe that we're going to see some higher level monsters and creatures. Maybe not necessarily that your players are going to fight them, battle them, but maybe just interact with them. So you got a preface about the book. First chapter, we're jumping right in, and it's talking about the Blood War, which I believe that is that the elves? No, that is the, I guess that's the demons. So we've got mortals and minions, devilish point of view. Yeah, it's the devils and demons, which is kind of strange. You would think they're kind of the same, right? I guess not. Guess they aren't. But remember, I do recall the edition where they got rid of like demons from Dungeons and Dragons. They didn't call anything demons or devils anymore. It was back in the bad old days of TSR after Gary Gygax had been run out of town. All right, so we're seeing Lords of the Nine. Talking about each of these. Are these demon lords? Nope, devil lords. So you're talking about hell. So, going into quite a bit of detail. Now, first thing I'm noticing right off the bat here is not a ton of artwork. So, looks like you're getting quite a bit of material here. Although I dig artwork, don't get me wrong. I love really good role-playing game artwork because it really gets my juices flowing. Just kind of inspires you. But I'm going to take a guess. We've got these little side notes here that these are supposed to be from Mordenkainen's point of view, which is how this book is presented. And I have to say, that's pretty cool how Wizards of the Coast has gone with these supplements from a point of view of a character. Like, say, for an example, Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Kind of presented from that beholder's point of view. Kind of gives a little more, kind of a little more flavor to the game, as opposed to just being real cut and dry. All right, this is this monster here. These are the stats. Here's your stat block. This is what it does. Or kind of saying, oh, okay, so this area is like XYZ, blah, blah. So, actually, there's quite a lot about the devils and demons in here. There you go. Now we get some artwork. Yeah, pretty nicely done. Pretty cool artwork there. So we're getting into customizing devils, different random tables there. Lords and their thralls. Yes, I am Grazed. Any relation to Drizzt? Just kidding. Yeah, Grazed's murky past. So, demonic boons. Now we've got customization for the demons. There we go. Now we get into the elves. So I know there's kind of a constant, I don't know, hand-wringing, maybe I would say. Some folks really like Drow. Other people don't like Drow. I have to say, Rise of the Drow from Adventure Week Games was excellent. That is an excellent campaign. Really, really good stuff. But I understand there are people out there who are like, yeah, they haven't made the Drow scary anymore. Nah, okay, I take that back. I can't say that's for 5th edition. In fact, I think pretty much from my understanding, because I don't have every single 5th edition book, from my understanding, I think the Drow have kind of gotten a little bit of the short end of the stick. So I know quite a few people, I believe, were looking forward to seeing how much info about the Drow were going to be in the Tome of Foes. So the Elven outlook, talking about adolescence, adulthood, aging, and death. The long view, crimes and punishments, elf adventurers, elves and magic. Now we're going to talk about the different kinds of elves, I do believe. Yep. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool artwork there. I have to say, I really like how so far the Tome of Foes, a lot of info, a lot of deep background info, and yeah, granted, okay, so here's another piece of artwork that I'm nicely done. That looks like the Underdark, right? Anyway, yeah, that's a Drow. But it's not, this book isn't overwhelmingly full of artwork. or just a bunch of random charts. I don't happen to be a random encounter sort of game master. Now, yes, I do understand that in Pathfinder and Dungeons and Dragons, there is a method to the madness of having random encounters. And that's because the way the leveling is built, that you have to, be throwing in these kind of randomized encounters, these battles, to pump up the experience points so that the characters can be at an appropriate level when they hit a certain point in the adventure or in the campaign. Yes, I get that. I understand that. But I've never been a huge random encounter sort of person. That said, I guess I'm probably a little more of a railroading sort of game master. But that's because I had spent so many years, decades actually, running Call of Cthulhu. And in a horror game, and this is in my opinion, horror games don't work well when it's everybody throwing in their 2 cents and trying to come up with a collaborative horror game or horror adventure campaign story, what have you. I have never found that works. I've never found that you really get a scary, memorable adventure for a horror role-playing game. For a fantasy role-playing game, that's a bit different. So, but like I said, and I have seen, don't get me wrong, I've seen Call of Cthulhu adventures over the years that did have random encounter tables, and I'd be like, I'm not using that. That's like right in the trash, man. It's gone. But like I said, I can understand why it's utilized in games like Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder. I really do like 5th edition. I think that Wizard of the Coast and Mike Merles and the rest of the team have done a really, really nice job with 5th edition. I remember reading the core books for 4th edition, and to me, it really had gotten away from like the story aspect of role-playing games, where it was more everybody's min-maxing and everybody's like, oh, it's all about combat and all the different tactics in combat, which is fine. That's cool, because the reality is Dungeons and Dragons owes its existence to miniature games. So, I mean, come on. Chainmail was essentially the first step in D&D before Dave Arneson got involved with his fantasy stuff. So anyway, so I really like 5th edition. I really like what has been done with it. I have not really run any 5th edition just because the gang, which is especially my nephew Cameron and his friends from high school, had no experience with role-playing games. So I was not going to involve them with anything that had any crunch really involved in it. Now, of course, my best friend Elliot Miller, yes, he's got decades of experience as well, but I didn't want him to have to sit there and kind of take on this role of being like the mentor as far as playing. So I kind of just kit bashed my own really rules light fantasy RPG to introduce my nephew and his friends to role-playing games, fantasy role-playing games. But I will say, I did swipe the adventure from the starter set, the starter box for 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. So there. Anywho, back to this. So we're looking at the different elves. Well, that didn't seem like a very long chapter, was it? Yeah, I guess it was. I guess I was too busy yapping. As I mentioned, it's a very casual show. If the first time you're tuning in, probably thinking, oh man, come on. I don't want to hear this guy's stories. Talk about the book. Explain the book to me. Read each chapter of the book out loud. All right, so now we go with the dwarves, and I swear I'm not overly familiar with is it Dwargar? I don't know. I honestly do not know if that's how it's pronounced. I believe that's how it's pronounced. All right, so talking about the dwarves. A lot of background here. The dwarves of the multiverse. I know a lot of folks out there are probably wondering if much of the multiverse is discussed. I know some folks were kind of like, hey, are we going to get to find out more about like the Planescape realms and things like that? I don't know. I honestly don't think so. But I could be completely wrong as we are going through here. Enemies all around, talking about different enemies of the dwarves. Dwarves and ale. When clans collapse, dwarf adventurers. So I believe the Dwargar are, I believe those are the like dark dwarves. Like evil, well, kind of like the drow are a counterpart to elves. I think. I might be wrong. Alright, so dwarves in the clan. Now we've got some tables here. Gith and their endless war. Gith Yankee. Which I could have swore that I thought these are kind of like Lovecraftian creatures. I might be wrong on that, but I thought they were. They're not from. I do not believe they were like from Lovecraft stories, but I don't know. Maybe I'm like way off base there. I'm probably way off base. All right, so we go mind flayers. Oh, creating characters. There you go. As a Gith. Halflings and gnomes. Don't call them hobbits. Don't get in trouble. Don't call them hobbits. Watch out. Life as a halfling. Happy with today. The life of leisure. Or leisure. Halfling gods and myths. So just a lot of this stuff is giving us a bunch of info on the background. At least from paging through, that's what it's looking like. Bunch of info on backgrounds of these races, which to me I think is really cool. Now, you know, there might be some dungeon masters out there like, no, man, come on, I want monsters, I want stat blocks, I want encounters, I want all that other stuff. I don't care about the societal beliefs of elves. So, but I mean, I always find this stuff fascinating. I love world building. That to me, that is one of the big things I look at when I'm doing any kind of role-playing game review is like the setting itself. I can forgive kind of clunky mechanics if the whole background, the whole setting, that whole world that's been created really jumps out, and I'm like, yeah, I really want to run a game set in that world. I can forgive oddball mechanics and stuff like that because I've never run a role-playing game as written anyway. I kind of kit bash things all the time. All right, so talking about deep gnomes, gnome adventurers. There we go. Now we get to the bestiary, chapter 6. So let's see what we've got in here. I believe we got a lot of some. Wow. Oh man, this looks really cool. The Astral Dreadnought. I gotta say, that looks pretty badass in my book. An Alep. But as I had mentioned previously, I believe we're gonna see some much higher level monsters and creatures in here too. For some reason, I thought I had heard somewhere through the grapevine a while back that it was going to be about half of the creatures in the bestiary would be like for higher level. And that's pretty cool. One thing that kind of throws me off with some of the adventures for Dungeons and Dragons is you'll get and some are just like larger books, so it's all contained like I say campaign because it's usually quite a few adventures kind of tied together, but I know that's not necessarily how Wizards of the Coast really looks at some of their adventure books. They just say it's an adventure. But like Tomb of Annihilation, to me, I mean, that's a campaign. That's a big campaign. There's a lot of stuff going on in that. It's very, very cool. Huge thumbs up. I have to say that was probably my favorite D&D adventure I had seen in a long time. And I'm talking long time. Not to say that they're bad. I'm just saying, wow, I really dug how different it was. But anyway, usually they'll run that, like an adventure is going to run from first level through 10th level. And then the next adventure release is going to be the same thing again. It's going to go from like first level to 10th level. Now, there are a lot of third-party companies out there that do make different adventures for, like levels 4, 5, 6, or 4 through 7, or 7 to 10, and things like that. But most of the time, which is quite different than the old days. Now, granted, back when I first got involved with Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, you had a module, and the module was maybe 50 pages, 60 pages. It wasn't super long. So I can see where these adventure books that clock in at 250 pages are including tons of stuff. But you used to see where you'd have a module and it'd say, okay, well, this module, this adventure is for levels 1 to 3. Then you have other stuff where it's like, oh, it's for levels whatever. You just don't really see that with the core Wizards of the Coast releases. It starts at first, pretty much ends around the 10th. So it's good to see some monsters that are being included, some higher level challenges, because a lot of people, depending on how your dungeon master hands out experience, a lot of times people invest a lot of emotion into their characters, and when you get to the 10th level and it's like, okay, well, there really aren't any other products out there, it can be a bummer. It's got to like, okay, what I got to create a new character, but I'm just so enamored with this one I've got now. Oh, looks like we got some clockwork creatures. Looks like they're invented by the gnomes. Stone Defender, a corpse flower. Huh. Oh, that looks pretty huge too. It's actually ripping a body out of the ground. A pretty big flower there. Just taking a look at some of the like average hit points and stuff. I can see that there are some of these that are pretty high up. Deathlock. Wait a second, that doesn't look anything like the Marvel character. Oh, wait, sorry, spelled different. And we got some demons here. And of course, as soon as I mentioned, oh yeah, looking at some of these hit points, they got quite a few. Now I'm not seeing anybody who's got like tons. Well, 216, there you go. Huge Fiend. Abysmal Wretch. Yeah. I've been called that before. I've been called worse too, so. Some pretty crazy stuff. I think these are all kind of like, these were kind of like demon and devil characters. That's pretty cool spread there. Yep, there we go. Here are the demons. So those were devils before. The Demogorgon. Almost has a little bit of a Cthulhian look, if we don't look at the face there. Alright. So I do notice there are some creatures, well, these are the demons, that I did see referenced earlier in the other chapter. Dero. Alright. Well, devil's there. Yeah, a lot of devils and demons in this. Yeah, now we got archdevils. Archdevils, I should say. Well, that's a familiar image. All right. All right, come on. Let's see. Let's get some. Ah, here we go. Finally getting out of the demons and devils there. So we've got the Drow, favorite consort, house captain, inquisitor, matron mother. Cool. All right, so we're finally getting into the other races. The sacred statue. Hey, those guys took my eye. Nice. Oh, I gotta tell you, you're getting your money's worth as far as the bestiary here. There is a lot of stuff. Got some of the elder elementals there. Pretty cool. The GIF. Is that like a rhino? Yeah, sure enough. Lawful neutral. Kind of a rhino sort of character for the GIF. Now we got the Gith Yankee. Looks like we're getting just some other different monsters now. That's kind of a wild construct here. Pretty cool. One thing that I do notice nowadays is most games, when with their bestiaries and stuff, don't. Okay, maybe I shouldn't say most, but quite a few don't always have an image for each creature. And so far, it looks like for the most part, we are getting images for just about each one. Now, of course, here we're seeing ogres. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 different types of ogres, and we're only getting the 2 images. But reality is, I mean, they're ogres. How different can they really be? Frost salamander. Cool. Shadar Kai. Oh, cool. Nice layout here with the undead. Skull Lord. Good stuff. Pretty creepy looking stuff too, so nice. Star Spawn. Sword Wraith, Stone Cursed. Venom Troll. Huh, that's interesting. Oh, different kinds of trolls. Rot Troll, Spirit Troll, Dire Troll. There you go. A few more trolls for you to play with. Vampiric Mist. Yugoloth. Huh. Cool. Very cool. And we got the an appendix here. Stat blocks by creature type. Stat blocks by challenge rating. So there we go. We start seeing like challenge 14 and up. So that's cool. That's cool to see quite a lot more, like, you know, higher level creatures by environment. Nice. All right. And that is the 256 pages for Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes from Wizards of the Coast for 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. As I mentioned before, this edition is going to be out in stores on May 29th. Carries the MSRP of $49.95. So pretty nice. I will actually do a review of this. Probably be a couple of weeks for me to get a review out. So I'm hoping maybe I'll get a review out on launch day when it officially, you know, completely launches. All right. Anyway, I had mentioned earlier in the show that I was going to do a giveaway for the limited edition of Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, because honestly, what do I need 2 copies for, right? And these actually go pretty quick. And I know that even the Xanathar's Guide to Everything limited edition is still selling for between like $70 and $100. So, which the prices have actually come down, because before I saw that the limited edition was going for quite a bit. When it first came out, I think it was going for, I saw it for like $200. But I am actually going to give away my copy, and I will also include the sheet of the Tome of Foes stickers. And as I pointed out before, I don't know if these come with every purchase of the books or not. For some strange reason, I think usually the D&D stickers are kind of like promo items. So I don't think if you just buy the book, you get the stickers. But then again, I'm not positive. Anyway, if you would like to score my copy of Mordenkainen's, see, I almost said Tomb of Foes. It's just stuck in my head because it's kind of a funny story. If you want to win a copy of Tome of Foes, it's going to be pretty simple. I just have to get to 1,010 subscribers. So I'm only 45 subscribers away from that by May 28th. And in the meantime, and I will be announcing this every other show or so that I'm doing this giveaway. In the meantime, all you have to do is comment on a video from today through the 28th. Doesn't matter what show it is. Try to make it at least a neutral comment. You know, I don't sit there going, oh, wow, I really want to give away something for free to this person who says, well, you suck. No, sorry. So at least make it somewhat like pleasant or neutral comment on any show from today through Monday the 28th. On Monday the 28th, I will actually choose a winner. As long as I've hit 1,010 subscribers, I will choose somebody who has commented, and I will get the limited edition of Tome of Foes out to them. It'll actually ship out on release day, so they should be able to get it a couple days after, because I always send stuff out priority mail. All right, so that is today's show. And remember, on tomorrow's show, I am going to unbox and take a first look at upside down, Jeff, Renegade from my friends over at Victory Point Games. So when you're not watching The Daily Dope, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. Come on, you know the drill by now. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. I will be back tomorrow. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Thanks again for watching The Daily Dope, presented by The Gaming Gang. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. And if you dig the channel, please subscribe. If you'd like to check out our previous episode, click right here. And if you want to check out a somewhat randomly selected episode, give a click right down here. It'll be like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You just don't know what you'll get. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'm